I wanted to show you some different ways that Google Sheets can do calculations. And we're going to use the example of finding the mean of something or the average of something. So the average is when you add up all the numbers and divide by how many numbers you have. So I'm going to do that with this budgeted amounts for food. So these would be different people's amounts. And if we wanted to find the average amount budgeted, we could add them all up and divide by how many we have. That would be finding the mean. I'm going to use a spreadsheet to do that calculation. Typing all the numbers into a calculator would leave a lot of room for me to make a mistake. So we're going to use the spreadsheet to do that. So I'm going to do it 3 different ways. They are all good ways. It's not that these are bad ways, and they all serve different purposes. So in this particular case, there might be one way that is the best way or the easiest way, but the idea of how we do these kinds of calculations, they help us in lots of different situations. So finding the mean with the long calculation. So I just call it long because it will be the most clicking or typing. So I start with an equal sign because that's how I do any calculations. And I'm going to do cell referencing so that I don't have to type the numbers. You could type the location, you could type the numbers and do the whole calculation. But I need to add up this set of numbers and then divide by how many I have. So I'm going to do a parenthesis and I'm going to click on each one and add them, which takes a little bit of time. It is the long calculation, but I will make fewer mistakes using the cell references than I would if I were typing this into a calculator. Okay, I've added them all up. I have an extra plus sign. And now I just need to divide by how many I have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There is a function in here that will count things up for you. We'll come back to that. So this is one way of calculating the mean. I've added up all the numbers and I've divided by 13. Okay. We looked at a formula that's built into Google Sheets that adds up a set of numbers. We did that with the finding percents video. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to combine that formula in my calculation. So rather than having to add up all of these cells individually, I'm going to use the sum formula and then still divide by 13. So equals sum. I will choose all of my data, so clicking from the middle of the cell and dragging. I'm going to close the parentheses, so that's just finding those things added up. And now I want to divide that total by 13. Likewise, we could, rather than having the total having to count up to 13, if this were a really long list of things and we couldn't count them all up, we could combine 2 functions. There's my sum, so adding up all of those totals. And then I have the function count. It's the number of numeric values in a data set. So sum divided by count, and I'll do an open parenthesis, and I will again select my data. So now I have all of them added up, divided by how many of them I have. And that is a way that I can combine formulas in a spreadsheet. So there are all these built-in formulas in spreadsheets, like finding the sum or finding the count. There's actually one for the mean also. So all of these things that we did before, there are ways to do it, and there are different functions that we might need to use in a spreadsheet. But for some things, we actually just have one formula. And the formula for finding the mean is average. Average is the mean. So if I type in equals average, and you can either click on what it suggests, or you can type in the open parenthesis. And then I'm going to select all of my data. And then I'm going to press enter. So I've given you a set of data to do this with. I just want you to practice these different skills. It's okay to find this however you prefer, but you'll turn in your spreadsheet once you have practiced with it and found the average of your data set. Let me know if you have any questions.